Irwin Miller commissioned the most recognizable and beautiful piece of architecture to come out of Columbus's heyday of modernist architecture. Named simply Miller House, the design was entrusted to architect Eero Saarinen, interior designer Alexander Girard, and landscaper Dan Kiley. Saarinen's task was to design a 7-strong family home that could cope with the odd party or two, and came up with a single-story, flat-roofed steel structure with lots of glazing to comprise what could be considered the archetypal modernist elevation. Add to this an elegant palette of white marble, terrazzo and rosewood, and it's not hard to see why Miller House was the first house to receive National Historic Landmark status while its owners were still living. Inside, a flowing, open-plan layout includes the house's signature feature, a sunken conversation pit, which was decked out with seasonally changing soft furnishings introduced by Girard. The family's collaboration with the designer lasted 15 years. The planning was quite modern and unconventional for that era, with a non-axial yet functional space arrangement and 4 private areas that branch out from this public space. The plan follows a similar geometry as that of Villa Rotonda by Andrea Palladio. Structural steel framing was employed to create large, open interior spaces and support the extensive use of glass. Steel beams and columns allowed for the creation of cantilevered rooflines and expansive living areas without the need for interior load-bearing walls. The Miller House was constructed using a modular system with standardized components prefabricated off-site and assembled on-site. This approach allowed for efficient construction and ensured a high level of precision in detailing. Alexander Girard designed contrasting, colorful interiors for the Miller House. The vibrant fabrics and pimping finishes bring in warmth. He designed bookshelves and cabinets along the walls, mounted within the niches for a neat and orderly look, with a bay for all the equipment in the storage. Miller's eclectic objects are focused on the display, with every other gadget having a space in the storage. The dining chairs and the cushion covers that he designed are the highlights in the interiors as they comprehend the Miller family's initials. He suggested the conservation pit in the living room to avoid heavy furniture pieces and maintain the linearity of Saarinen's design. His choice of colors and liveliness of the interiors breaks the rectilinear geometry of the house, which brings in the character, making the house a piece of timeless architecture. As you can see here, his original textile master plan for the house was thorough and highly considered in its detail. Girard's level of detail even went as far as to integrate the floor plan of the house into the TV room rug. Of equal merit is Dan Kiley's design of the 13-acre grounds, which mirrors the rigid geometry and clean lines of Saarinen's cruciform grid floor plan. Horse chestnut trees, apple orchards, honey locusts and red maples define the vistas, which were historically punctuated by sculptures by Henry Moore and Jacques Lipskitz. The plot is also left with meadows to shift the focus towards the house. Kiley paid attention to small details in the landscape, such as putting up vegetation like the weeping beeches on the west portion of the house to shield it from the sun and wind. The approach is designed to unveil the building with an alley of chestnut trees slowly. The landscape is intended such that the building does not sit conspicuously on the site, but is subtly complemented and unwrapped, with the well-planned plantation of trees and bushes around it. Kiley did an excellent job in framing the building with the landscape so that, on the one hand, it is not imposing on the site. On the other hand, it is revealed gradually and is framed from certain angles, which adds to the beauty of the hardcore structure designed by Saarinen. The home even cameos as a character in Kogonada's 2017 romance, Columbus. It provides a visually striking backdrop for the characters' interactions and introspective moments. The characters in the film, particularly Jin and Casey, share a deep appreciation for architecture and find solace and inspiration in the spaces they inhabit. The house becomes a sanctuary where Casey can explore her passion for architecture and grapple with her personal struggles. Miller passed away at his home, aged 95, in 2004, 4 years before the death of his wife, Zinnia, the last resident of the house. In 2009, the Miller family donated the house to the Indianapolis Museum of Art, which runs tours of the house and gardens. The Miller House is a shining example of modernist architecture, and it's a demonstration that a brilliant modernist building is a sum of its parts, and more often than not, this is when it stands the test of time. The architect in this case could not succeed by himself, but understands that collaborative efforts are necessary to frame the home and to enhance its essence.